What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into my 2023 NFL Mock Draft 4.0, right? 4.0? Yeah, 4.0. But I digress. Welcome into the mock draft. We are getting closer and closer to the draft. JD and I are excited. We're going to have, one more episode of the Draft Room. We're going to have the live stream for the first night of the draft. I know this video was supposed to come up. I wanted it to come out last Thursday, had a busy week. I'm now recording this on Saturday. Everyone is seeing this live on Tuesday, so a little bit later. So wanted to start out the video with two things. First off, if you do want to get these mock drafts early and most of our pre-recorded content early, go ahead, become a patron today. Plus members get my mock drafts 4 days early. Get the draft room 4 days early than everybody else. Second thing I wanted to say is kind of how I see the rest of this going. We have this mock draft that you're seeing right now. Everybody is seeing this on Tuesday. We will have the draft room on Monday. Also, I will have my final, I'm doing air quotes because I plan Monday to be my final mock draft that I'm going to release just for draft week. But I may put one out on Wednesday depending if we hear any like juicy rumors and such. But one, maybe two more mock drafts after this. Just count on the one though. That'll be on the Monday of draft week as we get ready for that Thursday night. But without further ado, let's just get right into this. As we kind of know the drill by now, I do trades. Last time I had 6. We'll see how many I have here. And first up is the Carolina Panthers. And I'm pretty sure the whole way through, I got to check. So the first one I did, the Texans were number 1. The second one I did, the Bears were number 1. My 3.0 was the only one that had the Panthers at number 1. Last time I had them going with CJ Stroud. However, there are rumors that, hey, the Panthers, they may like Bryce Young. And here's my opinion on the whole thing. I don't think the Panthers know. They're not locked into a single guy. Some are saying, oh, they like CJ Stroud because of their offensive coordinator. Oh, they like Bryce Young because of what they see. Oh, man, Frank Reich, he really loves Anthony Richardson. I don't think the Panthers know who they want. The one thing I do know is what the Bears GM said in Ryan Poles. He said the Panthers wanted to control the draft, and that's exactly what they are doing. Their pick will hinge what goes on in the later ones. Yeah, there's 4 quarterbacks, but they kind of get their pick of who they want. This one, it could me just being spicy, could just me falling into the rumors of the week. I'm going with Bryce Young for this one. And gotta start the draft first. I'm going with Bryce Young to the Panthers. Main reason being is just because, hey, if they like a guy, they're going to go with him. However, I just know it's going to be a quarterback at 1. I think we all know that, but I don't think nobody knows for sure who they are going to pick at number 1 until they make that pick, because it's kind of one of 3 guys, in my opinion, in Stroud, Young, or Richardson of who they go with. Then that brings up Houston at number 2. I know in the last mock draft, I made a lot of people angry because I had the Colts moving up. Texans are not going to trade this pick this time. They're going to keep it. However, some people might get angry. Ricky, what are you talking about here? I got him going with Will Anderson. And the reason why is, so yet again, diving into, and right now we're in the time, is it a smokescreen? Is it for real, or is it just a rumor? I'm kind of believing the rumors that DeMeco Ryan and the Texans like Will Anderson. And the reason why is you have a defensive coach. This is a team that, yes, is in a rebuild, but like I have said before, they do not need to waste the number 2 pick on this quarterback class. This quarterback class is a very weak class, in my opinion. So why waste your number 2 when you have an edge rusher out there like Will Anderson, who arguably should be the number 1 pick, if I'm being honest. He's number 1 on my big board. Go ahead and get him. And then they have a 2nd round pick, a high 2nd. They can either see if Hendon Hooker will fall there. They can trade up and get Hendon Hooker, or say, hey, we didn't get any of the quarterbacks in the 1st round. Who cares? We have Dougie Davis-Mills. We can keep him for a year because he's under contract. We can focus on this quarterback thing next year in a class that I know we're a year out, but I'm feeling next year's class is going to be a way better class than we're seeing this year for the quarterback class. So like right now, Texans, I'm not going quarterback. I'm going Will Anderson. I'm going to get a solidified edge rusher to lead that DeMeco Ryan defense. Then we get Arizona, and Arizona, to me, this is the linchpin of the draft because I'm starting to lean on Panthers keep their pick, Texans keep their pick. Who's going to be trading here? Now, if the Texans take a quarterback, this pick becomes a even hotter commodity because, oh man, 2 quarterbacks are off the board. We need to trade up to get one of the remaining 2 in the top 4. If CJ Stroud is still there, though, I think that it still is a warm and a hot commodity, but mainly because teams will be the ones that like CJ Stroud are being like, whoa, we didn't expect him to fall out of the top 2. We got to move up and get him. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I have a trade. The Titans are going to move up. So the Titans are going to send the 11th overall pick, first round pick for this year, their 3rd round pick, which is the 72nd overall pick, and then a first round pick next year in order to move up from 11 to number 3. And with that pick, they're going to do exactly what I just said they were going to do. I'm going to try something new here. It might take a little bit of time, but I'm going to try something here. See if this can reflect what I want to happen. Yeah, it won't let me make that trade. Whatever. The Titans here at number 3, they're going to take CJ Stroud. And mainly the reason why I have them trading up is because Stroud fell. If he falls out of that top 2, I think the Titans are a team that if it's a Richardson or a Levis, we don't want to give up draft capital. We've got Malik Willis. But if Stroud falls out, all right, we're not sold on Malik Willis. Ryan Tannehill, his days are numbered even though he's under contract this year. I think the Titans could move up and say, hey, we got to compete with Trevor Lawrence. We need a quarterback who can step in sooner rather than later because Malik Willis, if you're sold on him, he ain't going to be the Messiah next year. He's going to need a couple years to develop into what you could need him to be. CJ Stroud won't need as much time. That's why it's Stroud to the Titans at 3. Then the Colts, another quarterback pick. I'm going Will Levis here at number 4, mainly because, and you can check out the draft room right up over here. I think it'll be in the right. I'll put the little thing where the draft room episode where JD and I talked about this. I think the Colts are locked in on Will Levis. I think that they are going to hope he's there. If he's not, kind of switch their plan. But I think the Colts are locked on Will Levis at 4. That's the guy out of Richardson and Levis. I think they're going to lock in on him, take him with the 4th overall pick. Then you have Seattle. I'm keeping the same pick that I had in my last mock. Keep it simple, stupid. And I'm going to go Jalen Carter. If he falls to 5, I think the Seahawks, even though everything from the racing incident, he didn't have any negativity come out of that besides the speculation. Regardless of that, I think Pete Carroll's a guy that can work with him. The Seahawks need D-edge. They need D-line. You're getting the 2nd defensive player in this draft. You're getting the best defensive lineman in this draft. And even reading articles, there are people out of Georgia that are saying he is better than all the defensive prospects that Georgia had last year, even the number 1 pick for the Georgia Bulldogs in last year's draft. Then we have the Lions, and this is where I have a little bit of a shakeup with the Lions. So up to this point, it's been cornerback, 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 cornerback. But the Lions need to look at something. They need to look at their quarterback position, in my mind. Is Jared Goff the guy? And when I say the guy, I'm not saying right now. I'm saying in the future. Is Jared Goff going to be the man who is there when the Lions are fighting for Super Bowls? Because if you're a Dan Campbell fan, you believe it's going to happen. I think the Lions could be here and go, you know what? We didn't expect Anthony Richardson to be here. The Raiders are a team that wants it. They might field some trade calls, see if they can get something. But I look at this team and I go, okay, Jared Goff, I believe, has a year or two on his contract. Somebody in the comment section, tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I don't have it pulled up in front of me. But Anthony Richardson is a project, and he could need time to develop. Well, Detroit has some time. Hey, we can let you develop. We're a team that's building chemistry. I feel like he could fit in with the Player Tribune article that he posted. He would be a guy that I think fits in with what Dan Campbell is building in Detroit and give them that leader to grow with this team, because Jared Goff is kind of like the dad in the room. I have the Lions going with Anthony Richardson, kind of shaking things up, saying, hey, we even looked at quarterback. Let's go ahead and look at him and take Anthony Richardson here and get our quarterback of the future. Now, I don't know how that would make Jared Goff feel, but you know what? The NFL's a business, so teams do this all the time. I feel like Anthony Richardson would be too hot of a commodity to pass up for the Lions with the 6th overall pick. That leaves the Raiders and quarterbacks. If Richardson was here, I don't even know if I'd want to take him, mainly because you got Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo's injured all the time. They probably would have taken Richardson. To me, the question here was, and you might be divided out there if you're a Raider fan, not a Raider fan. And Raider fans, I'm going to know this from you. If it's Gonzalez and Wilson there at number 7, which defensive player are you taking? Tyree Wilson is obviously I always say the two most important positions in football, quarterback and pass rusher. So if you need a pass rusher, take the pass rusher. But there's a thought in my mind that, hey, later on in the draft, we could get an edge rusher. It's just, which position do you think you can address later, cornerback or edge rusher? I might be wrong here. I will say this. This might be going against everything that I usually do in mock drafts, but I'm going with Christian Gonzalez here, mainly because the Tyree Wilson is a great prospect. I love him. But I feel like the gap between him and an edge rusher in the 2nd is closer, not saying it's really close, I'm just saying it's closer than the gap between either a Christian Gonzalez, a Devin Witherspoon, and then one of the cornerbacks in the 2nd round. So I feel like just because I can get more value in the 2nd from an edge than I could with a corner, I'm going to go with the corner here and get the better option, even though to me, Tyree Wilson would be ahead of Christian Gonzalez on my big board. But yet again, Raider fans, I want to know what you guys think about that down below. Then the Falcons, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If Tyree Wilson is there, they are running this ticket up to the podium. They are going to take Tyree Wilson with the 8th overall pick. Then we get to the Bears. And this is one to me where, what do the Bears do here? The Bears can pick. Peter Skoronsky's there. Paris Johnson's there. JSN is there. He's rising ahead of now Quentin Johnson. And I feel like if the Bears stay here, they're taking Paris Johnson. But there's also a part of me that goes, the Bears could trade back, because the Bears need to build a team around Justin Fields. And it looks like Poles, the new GM, the new guy running the team in Chicago, really wants to, hey, let's get some picks. He did it by trading the number 1 pick. Why not do it again? Now, I will say, with the trade I'm about to propose, the rumors, I saw it from the Steelers site. I'll say it there. It's Bears are giving the Steelers picks, or the Bears are giving the 9 to the Steelers. Before I get into it, though, I did want to say, I saw it from the Steelers SI site, and they quoted an EJ Snyder, who, it's the Bootleg Football podcast on YouTube. Here's my little asterisk, and EJ, I don't know who EJ is. I don't know if he's established as an insider or if he's just like me, doing YouTube videos from the safety and the comfort of my room here at home. But I looked at it and I go, okay, if it's not like an Adam Schefter, how true is this? So I'm taking this with a grain of salt, but I'm going to entertain the idea because the Steelers and the Bears have made deals in the past. They can make one again. The Steelers would be moving up from 17 to 9. They'll swap first round picks. They'll give the Bears a 4th round pick this year, plus another first rounder next year. And for the Bears, this is beneficial because not only are you getting an additional pick in this year's draft, you're getting another first next year. And depending on who you are, I know that JD, my co-host of the Draft Room for the NFL side, he's even said that he does not think the Steelers will be that much better next year. So it could be a higher pick. Could be like this year, the Steelers were what? I just said it. They were the 17th pick. Even if you're getting another 17 pick, you're getting 15 if they're a little worse. You're still getting another first round pick. First round picks are valuable in the draft. The Steelers then at 9, in my opinion, would be going with Paris Johnson. And the reason the Steelers are making this trade is they need offensive tackle. Well, where they are at 17, all the tackles that are valuable could be gone. So, hey, let's go ahead. Let's give up a first, a 4th, and then a future first. Let's go up, get arguably the top tackle in this draft. Some people like Soronsky, some people like Johnson, but to me, Johnson would be the pick here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then that leaves the Eagles. To me, nothing is changing from my 3.0. They're going to go with Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. Love it. Illinois guy. Got to rep the I. But yeah, I mean, Witherspoon to the Eagles, I feel like that's one that's like, okay, if he's there, really they'll take Gonzalez or Witherspoon, whichever one is there. But if Witherspoon is there, he's getting gobbled up. Then we have the 11th overall pick. This is no longer the Titans. Remember, we had that trade, happened a little bit ago. The Cardinals and Titans did their switch, and I'm actually going to have the Cardinals here take a position they need. They're going to go with Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa. And it's like, if Will Anderson's there, let's say quarterback go. I don't know if the Cardinals make a trade, but here's the thing, and this is what it comes down to. How high do you have Will Anderson? It's like I talked about with the Gonzalez versus Wilson of how impactful of a prospect will Will Anderson be to where if he is there, would the Cardinals still trade back to like an 11 because they could get a Lucas Van Ness, they could get a Nolan Smith, they could get a Miles Murphy. Now, Miles Murphy, I think, would be a reach at 11. I'm personally not a fan of Miles Murphy right now. I think he's going to need years to develop, and he's not the prospect that he wants to be right now. So that's why I think he'd be a reach at 11. But yeah, Lucas Van Ness at 11 for the Cardinals makes sense. They get their need, plus they get picks and a future first from trading the 3rd overall pick. Then we get the Texans here, and I'm keeping it similar to my 3.0. It's just a different name. I got JSN going to the Texans here. Just want to make sure I got that right. Yeah, JSN to the Texans. I've usually had Quentin Johnson, but yeah, I'm gonna talk about Quentin Johnson later. But yeah, JSN, I think that Houston takes a wide receiver here. And you might be saying, well, Ricky, why didn't they take a quarterback with number 2? They could have paired quarterback and wide receiver. First off, I'll say patience, young Padawan. Second off, I'll say, it's like I said, they got like, this team could plan quarterback next year because of Dougie Davis-Mills. They have options to what they want to do and think about. So it's not just a one-track mind from the Houston Texans. Then at number 13, we have the New York Jets. They're going to get a gift because I don't think he's ever fallen this far in a mock of mine. They're going to take Peter Soronsky, whether they use him on the inside, whether they use him on the outside. They're getting an absolute gift at 13 because I think he's a top 10 prospect and would probably be taken at 11 at the latest if the Titans were still there. So Soronsky to the Jets, they can be happy. Then we have the Patriots. And with the Patriots here, I'm going to have another trade come in. And the Lions are going to call Bill Belichick, because I think with the Patriots, they're locked on a wide receiver, but I think the wide receiver they can get later. So they're going to make a deal with the Lions. Lions are going to move up to 14. The Patriots are going to get the 18th overall pick. So the first this year, they're going to swap first, and then they'll get a 3rd round pick this year, just picking up an additional pick. Lions move up 4 spots. And this is where the Anthony Richardson, if I could speak, comes in, because it's like, oh, the Lions didn't take cornerback. What did they do? Why are they taking a quarterback? Well, because Richardson was there. Hey, let's go ahead. We can give up a 3rd, switch our firsts. Let's go ahead and take Joey Porter. And the Lions are going to sit there and say, yeah, let's try to trade up. They're going to take Porter. They're going to get Richardson at 6, Joey Porter Jr. at 14. What is this? 14 now? Yeah, 14. Kept saying 13, 14. And they're going to get the need that everyone thought they would take with the 6th overall pick. So after that, the Packers, I'm not having what the Packers did last year, even though they could. Now, the Quentin Johnson fall, he could be a wide receiver here, but here's the thing. Even though I like Quentin Johnson and Jalen Hyatt are personally my 2 favorite receivers in this draft, I know well enough not to have my own personal biases take over. Looking at the Will Levis pick. But with the Packers, I think that wide receiver it should be the pick that they take. They lose Allen Lazard. They lose Randall Cobb. They might lose Aaron Rodgers, but if he's on this team, he's going to need people to throw to. Jordan Addison's there. Jordan Addison should be the pick for the Packers at 15. Then we have 16, the Commanders. This one's easy. Offensive tackle is there. You're getting great value here. Take it, move on. Boom. Broderick Jones, you're a Washington Commander. New ownership, so you don't have to deal with Dan Snyder. How you doing? Keep her moving. That's basically what that pick is. Then at 17, we have the Bears. I'm going to say there could be an option. The Bears then trade back again. Reason being, the Cowboys could be looking to move up, mainly because of Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson could end up with the Buccaneers. I think the Cowboys like him. If they're going to get him, they're going to have to trade up for him. So this was the first spot. I'm like, okay, the Bears could trade back. However, I looked at it this way and I said, you know what? Nolan Smith is there. You traded back twice already. Why not say, hey, look at all the picks we got. We got DJ Moore. Let's just take Nolan Smith. He could be that edge rusher that we need. Edge is a position of need for the Bears. Let's go ahead, take a quality edge rusher, one that many people, I will say, had ranked way too low. I said, wow, you got to look out for Nolan Smith. And even JD told me, well, you know what? Nolan Smith might not be that good. Then the combine happened, and I'm like, oh, now everyone's on my side. Now everybody loves Nolan Smith. So yeah, Nolan Smith to the Bears at 17. Then at 18, the Patriots, ring-a-ding-ding, we got another trade. Cowboys are moving up. This is another one. I think the Cowboys are locked in on Bijan Robinson. The only way they are going to get him, though, is if they move ahead of the Bucs. I have the Cowboys sending their first overall pick, which is the 27th overall, their 3rd round pick at 90 this year, and then a 3rd round pick next year to move up 10 slots to the 17th overall pick. And the Cowboys at 17, it was once owned by the Lions, then the Patriots, now the Cowboys. They're going to take Bijan Robinson with the 18th pick. That then leaves the Buccaneers. I have them. This was an interesting one because, as I have here, like, they could go cornerback, they could go edge. Running, if Bijan was there, they'd go running back, but they could even go quarterback if they like Hendon Hooker enough. To me, Myles Murphy, I am not sold on Myles Murphy. I would, if I was the Buccaneers here, I would look at it and go, you know what? I don't really like Myles Murphy as a prospect. From what I've seen on film, I'd rather take a swing on an edge in a later round. I'm going with Deonta Banks here. I'm taking that cornerback. I'll deal with the edge rusher later. Then that brings up the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are a team, even though I just said me personally, if I was the Seahawks, I wouldn't do it. I got the Seahawks going with Myles Murphy. First off, they hit two of their biggest needs in the first round. They get Jalen Carter on the inside. They get Myles Murphy on the outside. The Seahawks are also a team that I feel like would look at Myles Murphy and say, I can make you better. Pete Carroll would say, I can work with you. I can make you better. Look at the teams that they have built in the past defensively, guys that people overlooked. I could just be overlooking Myles Murphy. Seahawks could say, well, Ricky, you're dumb. We're going to take him. And he would be a solid pick at 20. Solid pick. Even though I would pass on him still, it would be a solid pick at 20 for the Seahawks, in my opinion. Then with the Chargers, I've got the same thing because, Dolphins, it's vacated. So now we're on to the Chargers. I have them going very similar to what I had last time. Michael Mayer. Everett's a free agent after this season. They'll need to re-sign Air Bear. You got to give him weapons. Like, if you're going to lose Everett, you got to basically give him a weapon to throw to. So that's my thinking from the 3.0. Then we get to the Ravens. This is easy. If Odell didn't get signed, I'd be like, boom, Quentin Johnson. Keep it moving. However, I feel like the Odell signing mixes this up a little bit to where the Ravens don't necessarily have to go with a wide receiver. They could look elsewhere. And what do they go with? Do they go with a cornerback? Do they go with a D lineman? Do they go with an edge? And I really look at, and yet again, I might be saying this wrong. Help me out in the comment section below. I have them going D-line with Concy, the guy out of Pitt. Like, I feel like because of the Odell signing, they don't have to go wide receiver. They can go with a different direction. If it's me, cornerback or D-line here, I'm going with D-line. That's why I have Concy here at 22. Then at 23, the Vikings. Another interesting thing, wide receiver free agency shook up this pick because up until now I was like, defense, 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 defense. It would probably be Brian Breeze here. However, Adam Thielen left. So for me, I look at this and it's like, okay, cornerback, there's none of them here right now. You could go D-line and Brian Breeze. You could go best defensive player in Brian Breeze. But I also look at wide receiver, and I know that you might be thinking, well, Ricky, there's guys like Osborne on this team that the team is really high on. They're just going to move him up. Quentin Johnson is there. However, for me, I like Quentin Johnson. I would love if he was in Viking purple. However, I feel like him and JJ are too similar to where I'm like, okay, this is a guy that not many people are high on. I'm higher on than most. My bias is coming out here. I'm going to say that first. I'm going to take a reach and go with Jalen Hyatt. And the reason why, I feel like he does similar things to QJ, except the difference is I feel like QJ and JJ are similar to where Hyatt can hit you deep ball, but he's, yet again, haven't seen him run. Haven't seen both him and JJ run in a race, but he just looks quick. He looks like he can get in there in the, over the middle. I personally like Jalen Hyatt. I like what he brings. You could have two deep ball threats. Hell, you could have that with Quentin Johnson and JJ too. But for me, this is one where some people may say, Ricky, no, Brian Breeze, you go defense. Maybe this is me overreacting to the Adam Thielen loss, but I'm going wide receiver here with a wide receiver I really like in this draft for my team. Yet again, this might be me being over emotional because it's my team. Then we have Jacksonville with the 25th pick. I'm going to have them go with a similar guy I had last mock, I believe, in Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. Then we get to the Giants here. They could go wide receiver. They could take a Quentin Johnson. However, I see them protecting Daniel Jones and that money that they just gave to him. So I'm going to have them go with Osiris Torrance. I think that right here, it's like, okay, not many people are solidified on Torrance, but hey, at 25 in the draft, you can take a swing on a guy like that. Then we have the Patriots here. Patriots get their guy. I think Zay Flowers is the wide receiver they are looking for. Trade back twice. Hey, we can get Zay Flowers in the second round. He's a guy that the Patriots have talked about. I think it was the wide receiver coach from the Bears have talked about Zay Flowers. I think his stock is rising and he could be a late first called on the draft on the 26th, right? 26th is the draft in about 2 weeks. But then we have the Bills. I'm going to have them yet again. This is one they could go Branch. They could go Brian Breeze. They could go Wright. I'm going to have them go offensive tackle. Protect their biggest asset in Josh Allen. Then you have the Bengals. I have them going with Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. This is another one. Could be a couple different things. Could be O-tackle, could be cornerback. I'm going to have them go with tight end, even though right before I did this, they did sign a tight end, but I don't think that matters. It's not something that's like, oh, we've got that position solidified. I think they can go Washington, but really, cornerback, tight end, tackle, you're taking one of those here. Then you have the Saints. I'm going to have them go at Brian Breeze. This is a steal. He could have gone where the Vikings were, but the Saints get him at 29. You get that D lineman for this team. Then the last two picks are very easy for me, just like I had in my last mock. I got the Texans moving up again. They're going to trade for 31. You're going to get the Eagles sending a second round pick, or I'm sorry, the Eagles are trading the first. They're going to get a second round pick, which is 34. So you're moving 3 picks back, and they will get a 4th round pick as well. So they'll move 3 picks back. They'll pick up a 4th, which is huge because the Eagles do not have a lot of draft picks and will need draft picks. Maybe they try to weasel one more out of the Texans. This is where, yet again, I think the Texans, if they're trading up, Hendon Hooker's their guy. Everyone who was like, hey, Ricky, where's that quarterback? You get Will Anderson, you get JSN, you get Hendon Hooker. This team's in a rebuild. Hendon Hooker, you get the 50-year option. You let this season happen. You work from there. You're rebuilding. You're not going to win week 1 of next year. That's what you have to remember if you're the Texans. Then the Chiefs, I think arguably they would love to try to move up for a Nolan Smith, but the Packers not moving back. They're going to be calling teams, I think, to move up for an edge rusher. But if they stay here, you just take the top one. The top one is Will McDonald. So basically, that is my first round as we have it. Let me run through it really quick. So at number 1, we have the Panthers taking Bryce Young out of Alabama. Then at number 2, the Texans taking Will Anderson, the edge rusher out of Alabama. Then we have the Titans moving up to number 3 to take C.J. Stroud, quarterback from OSU. Then the Colts at 4 going Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky. The Seahawks at 5 going with Jalen Carter, the D tackle out of Georgia. Lions at 6 going Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. Raiders at 7 going Christian Gonzalez, cornerback from Oregon. Falcons at 8 going with Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. The Steelers via the Bears going with Paris Johnson Jr., the O-tackle from OSU. The Eagles at 10 going with Devon Witherspoon, the cornerback from Illinois. The Cardinals at 11 going with Lucas Van Ness, the D lineman, D edge from Iowa. The Texans at 12 going with Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver from OSU. Jets at 13 going Peter Skoronsky, the tackle from Northwestern. The Lions trading up via the Patriots going with Joey Porter Jr., cornerback out of Penn State. Packers going with Jordan Addison, wide receiver USC. Commanders going with Broderick Jones, the tackle from the Georgia Bulldogs. The Bears at 17, going with Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Cowboys trading up to 18 to take Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. The Bucs taking Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. Seahawks at 20, going with Miles Murphy, edge rusher out of Clemson. Then we have the 21 pick is vacated by the Dolphins. Chargers go with Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. Ravens going with Kalijah Kancey, the D tackle from Pitt. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee, going to the Vikings at 24. Jaguars at 25, taking Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah. Giants taking Osiris Torrance, the interior lineman from the Florida Gators. Patriots via the Cowboys, going with Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. Then we have Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle at Tennessee. I apologize. That should not say Anton Harrison. That should be saying Darnell Wright. Then we have the Bengals at 29 going with Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. Then the Saints going with Brian Breeze, the D lineman out of Clemson. Then we have the Texans at 31 trading up to take Hendon Hooker, quarterback from Tennessee. And then the Chiefs ending our first round with Will McDonald IV, the edge rusher from Iowa State University. And that's going to do it for my mock, my 4.0. Let me know what you guys think down below in that comment section. Remember, this upcoming Friday on Patreon will be the draft room. That last episode will drop on Monday. My mock draft will also, my final one of the year, will drop next Monday as well. So make sure that you can check those out. If you want to get those early, like I said, make sure to go to Patreon. You can either become and support us at the basic membership or the plus membership and get some of our content like these mock drafts earlier, 4 days earlier than everybody else. Also, let me know what you think down below. I'm going to say that again. Let me know. Let's keep this conversation going. I want to thank you guys for watching. And as always, have a good day, everybody. As always, we'd like to thank our patrons whose names you see on the screen. If you would like to support us, go ahead and click the Patreon logo in the bottom right. And if you would like to check out our latest episode of the Draft Room, you can go ahead and click that in the upper left. Again, thanks for watching.